Example number 2, another simplification question. These guys are getting a little bit more tricky because they have more complicated numbery bits, and this one plays a little bit with exponents. The other thing that makes it a little bit more difficult is we don't have a monomial in the numerator, though we still have monomials in the denominator. What happens with multi-termed numerators? Alright, so first things first, what I want us to do is find the lowest common denominator. So what I'm going to write out the factors here. Another way that we can look at it is the numbery bits, the lowest common denominator part is going to be 24, right? The lowest common, if it was just numbers, it would be 24. And the lowest common denominator between x and x squared is just x squared. So if you can do that kind of thing on your own, no problem. The reason why I'm doing like all the check marks and numbers, like that's not math, that's just a helpful, what I'm trying to do is trying to show you a way if you're like, ooh, I don't even know what the lowest common denominator is. It's just a method. But if you look at it and you're like, yeah, the lowest common denominator is 24x squared, more power to you. But I just want to show you break down the thought process behind it. So I'm just going to rewrite this thing. So x plus 5 over 2 times 4 times x. Okay, 2 times 4 times x. Like really, I should have 2 times 2 times 2. There you go, that's better. Plus x minus 7 all over 3 times 2 times x times x. You'll notice that I have dots here and brackets here, different ways to express multiplication. Another thing that you can be doing is, actually it will be helpful to you if you think of this as a factor, okay? Because what people will want to do is they will want to take this x and cancel this x out. But you can't do that, because if you cancel x out with this one, since it's adding and subtracting, you also have to divide 7 by x. Oh, that's going to be like really crazy. Don't do that. So to figure out our lowest common denominator, I'm going to say, okay, I got my 2, and that is mirrored in here, so I know I'm going to write 2 here. I have 1x. Is there anything else that is held in common? We have a 2 and a 2 on this side. Nope, that's not on here, so I'm just going to multiply that by 4. And on this side, I have a 3 and an x. Alright. So then when I multiply these things together, 2 times 4 is 8 times 3 is 24 x squared. Alright, so now that we know that, oh, another thing, non-permissible values, x cannot equal 0. So now what I can just look at 24x squared and say, okay, I need to get 8x to 24x squared. What do I need to multiply by? 3x, because 3x times 8 times x is 24x squared. So what we do is we say 3x times x plus 5 plus, okay, the common denominator is going to be 24x squared. What do I need to multiply 6x squared by to get to 24x squared? 4. So we multiply 4 times x minus 7. Now what we need to do is, people say FOIL it out, but it's not really foiling, it's just like distributive property. We're left with 3x squared plus 15x plus 4x minus 28 all over 24x squared. Do I have enough room for one more line? Oh, you bet I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two terms here. So I have 3x squared plus 19x minus 28 all over 24x squared. Moving on to b. what we need to do first is we need to find that lowest common denominator. Yeah. Another thing at this point, what we can say is non-permissible values. C cannot equal 0 and D cannot equal 0. At this point, I'm not going to rewrite it so that you can see that C squared, C times C. I hope that you can find that, figure that out. So the lowest common denominator is going to be 5 times C, but remember there's still an extra C in here, times D, lowercase d, times C. Okay? With that extra C, because this and this, this C corresponds with one of the C's here, but remember there are two C's, so we need to stick that at the end. So the lowest common, oh, I forgot about the 3. Don't forget about that. I check marked it, didn't write it down. So we have 15C squared D. So when I would write this out again, I would say, okay, I know my lowest common denominator is 15C squared D. What do I need to multiply 3CD by to get 15C? One way that we can do this, folks, is just cover up the things that we have. I need to multiply by 5C, okay? Because this is 3C and D, 3CD. And I could just multiply by 5C, that's one way of doing it. Or you can just look at it and be like, I need to multiply by a C and by 5. So 5C times the whole thing here, 3C minus 2, minus, what do I need to do to multiply 5C squared D? What do I need to multiply this denominator by to get 15? It's just 3. C plus 8. Remember to preserve this negative sign here. Sorry, not negative sign, this subtraction sign here. That's going to be something that is it's going to be tricky. Because remember, when we distribute it, it goes to both terms. So we have 15C squared minus 10C minus 3C minus 24. Negative 3 times C is negative 3 times C is negative 3C. Negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. All over 15C squared D. I'm going to collect like terms. 15C squared minus 13C minus 24 all over 15C squared D. The temptation here, folks, is going to be like, oh, I can cancel out the 15 with the 15. But the thing that's happening with these terms is that they're terms, they're distinct. Okay, it's subtraction happening between them, not multiplication. So what we would actually need to do is we would need to divide. If we wanted to cancel out the 15 here, we'd have to divide 13 by 15 and 24 by 15. Let's just leave it like this. Okay. All right.